Remember when phones were the size of bricks? Imagine a computer filling your whole living room. Technology has changed our world in crazy ways. Stick around, and by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at how far we've come, and maybe get a peek into the future. Get ready to take a wild ride through time. We're exploring how the technology we use every day has transformed. Ever wondered how people stored stuff before the cloud? Or make calls without a smartphone? By the end, you'll have a whole new appreciation for the gadgets in your life. To make sure you don't miss out on future tech breakdowns and mind-blowing reveals, hit that subscribe button and the bell. That way, you'll be the first to know when we dive into new inventions and crazy upgrades. Reading. Paper pages to e-ink. You're sinking into your favorite comfy chair. The smell of old paper fills the air, and you're ready to dive into a new story. That feeling of a real book in your hands is something special, right? But guess what? Tech has stepped into the reading world too, and it's pretty awesome for us bookworms. E-readers are like magical little tablets designed just for reading. Forget that harsh screen glare you get from your phone. E-readers use something called e-ink that looks just like real paper. It's way easier on the eyes. Remember when Amazon came out with the Kindle? It changed everything. Suddenly, you could carry hundreds of books with you wherever you went. No more lugging around a giant tote bag to the beach just for your latest read. Now, e-readers are even cooler. Some won't get ruined if you accidentally drop them in the pool. Perfect for those lazy summer afternoons. And they're so lightweight. It's like carrying a single paperback, but with way more stories inside. Imagine taking your entire bookshelf with you on vacation. Data storage, from punch cards to the cloud. Think about all the photos, videos, and messages on your phone. Where do they actually live? It wasn't always the magical cloud. Way back in the day, they used these things called punch cards. Imagine stiff paper with holes punched in it. Those holes were code that giant machines could read. Talk about old school tech. Then things got a bit more compact. Remember floppy disks? Those bendy squares your parents or grandparents might have used. While amazing at the time, one floppy could hold about as much as a single song today. Not much compared to what we're used to. Now, USB drives. Tiny things that can hold a crazy amount of stuff. Some are even smaller than your thumbnail. But even those are nothing compared to the cloud. That's basically an invisible warehouse in the sky for all your digital files. Way more than you could ever fit on even the biggest USB. Mobile phones. Bricks to mini computers. So you need to make a call, and you have to carry around a phone the size of a brick. Like, seriously heavy. That was the reality back in the day when the first cell phones came out. In 1973, some guy named Martin Cooper made the first ever cell phone call. And his phone was a monster. It weighed more than a bag of sugar, and the battery died after, like, half an hour. Then you had to charge it for ages. Crazy, right? Phones got a bit smaller over the years, but they were still super expensive. If you were lucky enough to have one, you were probably the coolest kid in school. Remember those Nokias everyone went crazy for? You could play Snake for hours on those things. Then bam! Apple dropped the iPhone in 2007, and it was like something from the future. Touchscreens, apps. It was basically a tiny computer that fit in your hand. Suddenly, phones weren't just for calling. They did everything. Now, it's almost weird to think of life without a smartphone, isn't it? Computers? Room-sized to pocket-sized. Imagine a computer taking up your whole living room. That was reality in the past. The first computers were mostly used for serious stuff. Think NASA calculations. They were enormous and could only do basic math compared to what we have now. Then came desktop computers. Smaller, but still bulky. Remember those big boxy monitors? Apple was a big player back then too, and they helped make computers more user-friendly. Now we have laptops that can do incredible things, and super powerful computers that fit in fancy backpacks. Calculators. Cranks and levers to phone apps. Do you ever need to do some quick math? You probably just use your phone. But there was a time when that would have seemed like science fiction. A long time ago, calculators were mechanical, with big buttons and levers you had to crank. Then came something crazy. Giant electronic calculators. These filled whole rooms and were used for things like military calculations during World War II. Imagine needing a special room just for basic math. Luckily, things got way smaller. Pocket calculators became the norm in the 80s, but even fancy graphing calculators are now just an app on your smartphone. TVs, boxy and blurry to crystal clear, and maybe rollable. Picture this, a small boxy TV with a fuzzy black and white image. That's how the first TVs worked. It's hard to imagine now, but they didn't have many channels to choose from either. TVs have improved a lot over time. Color arrived. Screens got bigger and flatter, and the picture quality got sharper. Now we have massive flat screens so thin you can hang them on the wall, with a picture clearer than real life. The future? Some TVs can roll up like a poster when you're not using them. Technology is moving at lightning speed. Imagine a world where the sun powers everything, including self-driving cars and household chore-completing robots. Some of that stuff is already in the works. It's a reminder that the gadgets we take for granted today might seem like ancient history in a few years. Let me know what other tech comparisons you'd like to see. Thanks for joining me on this time-traveling tech adventure.